Metro Brokers TV.
Thanks for joining us with Metro Brokers TV. I'm here with Greg Howard with Metro Real Estate Group. Greg, thanks for joining us today.
Nice to meet you.
So tell us a little bit about what an experienced agent like yourself does for their clients.
Let's talk about the sellers at first. One of the things that we need to do is we need to, number one, we need to get a listing with them, make sure that they're happy with what we're going to provide. Then we need to start looking at all their documentation. What does the buyer want ultimately when they come and they want to make an offer on the property? We might look at surveys. We want to make sure the survey matches the property. We would look at appraisals to make sure everything is zoning through the taxes. We've gotten in several situations where we've actually received offers, or actually made offers on property where the zoning didn't match, for therefore the appraisal didn't match, and it was a long, lengthy process. Some of the other things that we want to do is maybe talk about pre-inspections, maybe a pre-appraisal, so that they have higher expectations and they see the warts of the property, but so we can make a realistic price.
Definitely. Well, what would you say are some of the other things that you do up front to make sure that things go well, go smoothly?
Have the tough conversations, and the tough conversations are, well, what it takes to sell a house is the right price, the aesthetic value of the property, and being able to communicate to them that their $500,000 house expectation may be only $450,000, and that the wallpaper's pretty ugly, and the colors don't match, and the brass fixtures aren't really what a buyer's looking for. So those conversations have to take place, as well as when you're setting the price, you need to give them a very clear idea of how price can affect the bottom line. For instance, if you're asking $110,000 for a $100,000 home, you're probably not going to get it, not in the beginning anyway. And if you do get it, it's going to be after a reduction to 105, and then it's going to be a reduction to 100. And then at that point, somebody's going to say, it's been 3.5 months on the market. They're desperate. Let's offer 95. If they'd started 100 in the beginning or somewhere in that neighborhood, they're more likely to cut the time down and increase their bottom line. Right. The other thing is when they're making the price adjustment, let's say they do want $110,000 for the home. Why do they want that, and is there a way for us to get to that? That may be the time that we have to bring in a stager to have the tough conversation to say, I know the carpet's only 25 years old, but it needs to be replaced, and for $1,500 maybe we can get a return of $2,500 and maybe eventually get you up to the $110,000. So the tough conversations are price and the aesthetic value of the home.
So do you think those are the most difficult things to communicate to a seller?
Absolutely. I mean, there are not many agents. I need to be careful of that. It's a very hard conversation for an agent to have when somebody says, my house is worth $150,000, and you're looking at it and you know deep inside that it's only worth $125,000, and you can't commit to the conversation that says it's really not. It's not in their best interest for you to hold back. You, if I have a fault, it's going to be the honesty. I'm honest to a fault on being able to get these things done. If we go 6 months on a listing because I wasn't able to come to the table and tell them the truth, they're going to be frustrated, they're going to be mad, they're not going to refer me, and then the next agent has a huge foot up because they're going to come in and they will have already heard the story at least once. Now it's the second time, and they'll make the adjustments and sell the house. Right. And they won't be happy with me.
Now you work with buyers too, right?
I do. Buyers are a whole different ballgame. You basically have to protect a buyer. You need to make sure that the documentation that they have is worthy. And the key for them is protecting them at all costs. I want to see their loan docs. I want to make sure that the loan's the same. You can get a 3.5 loan with one guy and a 3.5 loan with another guy. They're not the same loan. They might be, but they're not. And there's ways to evaluate that. Look at appraisals, things like that, to make sure they're in the right area. School districts, just listen to them.
So Greg, how can customers reach you?
I'm on my cell all the time, and they'll put that on there, I'm sure.
Perfect.
719-445-9515, my website. I sell homes both in Colorado Springs and the south side of Denver.
Great, and we'll put your website up on the screen too.
Super.
So, thanks so much for joining us today. For more real estate related videos, please join us at metrobrokerstv.com.
Find more great Metro Brokers videos at metrobrokerstv.com.